Switch it in.
This is what the world is.
Mac, are you feeling good? Are you feeling spry?
It just bites you on the toe.
Anyway, so welcome to So What'd You Learn? It's the podcast where we learn from other people's mistakes,
Are
so
we
you
live?
don't have to. We're not live. We're not broadcasting. We could in the future. Who knows?
We could
I'm
stream.
Alex,
Dallas.
I'm Zach.
Wow.
and we have a super special guest, Chance, who doesn't know when to wait for his cue.
Woo!
Sorry. Hi, I'm Chance. I'm an alcoholic. And
Hi, Chance. But yeah, how was everyone's week? Yeah, terrible. Dallas got
Dallas week was terrible.
cat was sick, but
I
he
was,
like.
I was pointing at Zach so he could start talking while I drink gin.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Didn't
Man, what did I do this week? Early in the week, we had a podcat scare. He brushed up against the hard, bristly brush of mortality, but he made it through.
It's a
Um,
painful metaphor there.
Yeah,
that was-
really.
that was painful.
But
I
it's
liked it.
yours.
A mortality paintbrush wouldn't it be very soft? I don't feel like
No, it'd be very hard and probably
Yeah.
painful.
full of charcoal and
Like a
ugh.
toilet brush.
So that happened.
Just paint your walls with a toilet brush.
Gross.
I'll expedite my week. So I came home. There's blood everywhere. Apparently his Delios were blocked, so they got him unblocked, and now he's okay. As far as I can
Okay.
tell.
And
Nice.
this Delio's a scientific term.
Yeah, his like little dude. His Delio.
His dingus.
Yeah.
I see.
no.
Fun cat fact. Bringing that back to 2008. Male cats have an extremely long urethra,
Yes.
so it's very easy for small stones to get caught in there and block it.
Interesting.
Anyway, I also got a new doctor. I went to the dentist. I went to my first financial advisement meeting. I started signing paperwork for my new house, and I also got a psychiatrist. So,
That's a hell of a week.
Really?
adult. I had to take a random day off from work in the middle of the week because I was just like, too much shit.
So you're major adulting. Good
Yeah,
for
so-
you.
He's making up for lost time.
Learned two lessons. The first lesson would be it's okay to spread your adulting out over multiple weeks.
Yeah.
And
Agreed.
yeah. And the second lesson is pet insurance because I'm broke.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a thing. How much is your pet insurance?
I haven't gotten it yet, but it'll be $140 a month. But it covers anything you want, anything that happens.
Okay.
Yeah,
I've heard about
even
it, but I haven't
pre-existing
gotten it.
conditions.
Nice.
It'll just,
Nice.
if your cat does have a pre-existing condition, it makes the pet insurance more expensive.
Yeah, and there is a cheaper version that just covers annual things that are non-emergencies too. So
Right.
that's
That's good.
yeah. Anyway, those are my mini lessons. Passing it off to Zach.
Well, shit. After that soliloquy, I don't really have anything going on in comparison. Holy crap. No, I've been dealing with a little bit of depression myself this week.
Fun.
Yeah, it was a blast.
Woo!
Great.
Being sad's never been so much fun.
Did you eat food in bed?
No, but actually, to your point, Alex, being sad has never been this fun just because I've had years of therapy. Thus, I had the tools to mitigate this problem.
Oh, good.
It wasn't that bad. It was only a few days once I realized what the problem was and that I was dealing with it in a negative way, which was drinking.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Which, is fun but doesn't really solve anything.
Alcohol, the cause and solution to all of life's problems.
Oh my
Greatest
gosh.
Simpsons quote ever.
Yep.
If I never started drinking, I would have never met you guys. If I never
true.
started drinking, so many things would have happened.
Yeah, that's also
Go
true.
into
So many
it.
good things might have happened if you didn't, but
Yeah. So
So,
I'd be
point,
a lot better guitar, that's for sure.
Oh,
and that's the one thing.
I only ever want to play for more than an hour when I'm drunk. And then I don't retain any of the muscle memory.
I
That's
see.
true.
Yes.
You're like, I'm too drunk to pull this off. This was a mistake.
I can hear the sounds in my head, but I can't get them into the air.
Yes. Your hands can't keep up with the brain. Just like that.
Yeah.
That's down guitar.
So yeah, I've been dealing with that. Not out of the woods yet, but that's okay. But doing a lot better.
Good.
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 Solid.
Alex?
Honestly, not a lot has happened this week. I've just been terrifying myself by reading about the coronavirus. Topical reference for those of you listening in the distant future.
And if I got a treat for you tonight, Alex, I've got you 6 frosty Coronas.
Perfect.
Oh, no.
I hear their stock is actually falling because of its
By
association
33%.
with the word corona.
Because
It's
people
not
are
actu-
stupid.
It's not actually spelled the same.
It is spelled the same, but it also...
Oof.
But the term coronavirus has been around for a long time. It's an umbrella term for a bunch of viruses.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like SARS was
Yes, exactly.
like CoV 2, and this is COVID
4, I believe.
19.
Oh, 19, you're right, yes. And then,
So,
well, the common cold
Electric
is also...
Boogaloo 19.
Well, did you also see that people are getting mad at Clorox bleach wipes because on the back they say kills coronavirus? So it's like, how did they get these so fast? I bet they released it so they could sell more bleach pads.
Oh my god.
That is a conspiracy theory I heard.
So dumb. So dumb.
So
But
do
for
your
those-
research, people.
For those of you
Wait,
listening
what?
recently, so it's not super late after we've recorded this, it's always good to have an emergency kit. Water and canned goods, dry goods, in case, some shit goes down. It's never too early to stock up on stuff.
Just some emergency
And
supplies,
with-
a radio.
And when someone tells you the flu kills so many people a year, but we don't care about that, it's gonna be totally fine. You have no idea what you're talking about.
Yep. Well said.
So,
I'm really excited for future emergencies when I'm in my house because I'll have a gas stove again.
hell
And
yeah.
then I can cook my ramen.
And you can warm yourself up.
There you go.
Yeah, you can warm yourself up. You can cook ramen on that thing with no power. It's all great.
You
Turn
light
off-
your cigs off it.
Yeah, right.
Being all cool like a 1950s single mom.
And then blow up. Yeah, that's
Right?
a really good
And then
idea.
forget to turn off the gas. And...
How was your week, Chance?
It was pretty quiet and had some eventful things going on. I just found out a friend of mine passed away, so
That's
Sorry to hear that.
yeah. Speaking of mental health things, trying to get mine wrapped up again too. So that's in the
Always
works
fun.
next week. Yeah. So other than that, it's been good.
It's been. P.S. Full disclosure, Chance is my boyfriend. So
Ah!
You may have heard him referenced before in previous episodes.
yeah, usually with an eye roll, like a exasperated sigh.
Thanks,
Old ball and
babe.
chain.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, when you can hear the eyeball fluid moving around
Yeah.
in the microphone.
Just grinding.
How hard Alex rolls his eyes.
It's like a car that doesn't have any oil in it.
Or like Chance's car that screams like a banshee when you turn
Oh
it
my
on.
god, have you talked about that?
No.
Oh my god, it's so bad. Like
No,
every morning, that shit screams
Your-
so
your
hard. Yes, it is like a banshee
All aboard and wake the
because
fuck up.
it's yeah. It.
We get so many weird looks when we're in the car because it's like,
Oh my god, it's so bad.
and then like
this the
people turn,
timer
they're like,
bell?
what the fuck
Huh?
is that?
It's too early.
I get that look constantly because I'm the one driving it.
Yeah.
So it's usually really early in the morning, which is the worst time because people are trying to sleep at like 5, 6 in the morning.
So
and
I
then
make
it
sure
just
I take
starts-
residential streets.
Yeah, it's so bad.
Yeah, sometimes when I listen to 90s hip hop in my car and I have the subwoofer way up and we stop at a light and I don't want to turn it down, I just make sure not to turn my head to the side so I can avoid all of the stairs.
And now, is this anything different than All Around the World? Same song.
Oh, yeah, we got All Around
I
the
love
World,
that song.
Colt 45, NWA, the first album. I don't even
Lovely.
know if there's 2. Wu-Tang Clan.
Ain't nothing to fuck with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So Chance, thank you for joining us, being our super special guest today.
Yeah.
And as I understand it, you have one or two things you wanted to talk about.
One or two. It's mainly just one, I suppose.
Don't tell them about my tiny penis.
Oh, damn.
I already broke that ice. It's okay.
Scratch this episode. Let's go to the bar.
I think we got to start over.
We'll have to throw away all my material.
I mean, mine's already going to be thrown away. It's fine. Whatever. Yeah, I mean, other than my screechy car, I would like to talk about my transition that I know most of you in the room already know, but haven't heard the story. So, Um,
And so for the audience, when you say transition, what are you referring to?
transition by meaning transgender transition from female to male. And that can be a tough story, but I was going to kind of wrap up with it in the beginning by going through my childhood a little bit. I don't want to like take 2 hours or more going over
We
that.
can edit it down to like a really even
Okay,
like
perfect.
15 minutes.
Yeah,
Perfect.
great.
Let me get comfortable here. Just no.
Take your shoes off.
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
So
You guys didn't take your shoes off before you? I'm just kidding. Sorry.
Can I? I mean,
Dallas,
yours
please
are
put some
off.
Just
Yours are off.
I got my talons exposed.
Dallas, just please put some pants on for the love of God.
Hey. Just because pod pants sounds cool doesn't mean I have to wear them.
BoneCon coming
They're
soon.
on the wall for a reason.
I mean, it does say the pleats. I get it.
So yeah, I'll warn the audience. It may be kind of dark sometimes, but you guys, that's what you guys are here for, to lighten it up.
Yeah,
so.
just to make fun of your relentless.
Yeah, that's fine. All I need
Waka
is to be
waka.
made fun of. I'll start by going that my childhood was not quite the best childhood. I had a mother who was schizophrenic and had a lot of mental issues with that, and it led me in a lot of traumatic days. And
sure.
my father was also a problematic character. He drank way too much, but he was kind of the raging alcoholic kind. And yeah, he would be very verbally abusive and whatever. So that kind of environment is already pretty bad.
So you got two people, well, kind of flying into a rage, so to speak. Well, different types of.
Yeah, if I'm going to explain what schizophrenia was like for my mother. It was more like she was very unmedicated, and she would kind of just sit there chain smoking and watching, like, there was like a Jesus channel. I don't know, it was like some
Like
religious.
700 Club or something?
I can't it was so long ago.
It's probably channel 33.
Could have been. But that's all she would watch. She's very religious.
Which, as from my understanding, can be very common with people with schizophrenia. Oftentimes they will have a high level of religiosity.
I've heard that too. I don't know if there's any factual. Well, it is factual, but I don't know why that is, though. Zach, do you know?
I mean, I can imagine that it might, for people with a mental illness where they
Hear and see
characteristically
things that
lack control over a lot of things, sometimes having an external set of rules, like this religion tells me I need to do this and this, sometimes that can give people the
structure.
false sense of control because there's structure, but
insecurity,
they
yeah.
aren't. They're still not in control necessarily.
Right.
That makes sense.
And this is how we derail.
No, I don't.
Every time.
Like, you guys know I knew this is what you were going to do. It's fine. Actually, and it's very educational because I don't quite understand all of that. So, but yeah, she
Very
would do.
complicated.
Yeah, it can get complicated. She would pack up my stuff and throw it out, like, and then forget that she did it. She'd send it to like Value Village and then call the police. And
like, report it stolen.
Yeah,
and
report
shit?
it stolen.
Oh, okay.
And like, I'm just like, I guess my stuff's gone. I don't know, whatever. But this really doesn't have too much relevance to my transition at that moment. But
I think it also has relevance to how you live other areas of your life where
Yeah.
you don't keep a lot of shit.
oh, you noticed that,
Yeah,
didn't you?
you're like, I have my gaming computer, I have my cat, I got my
Some
boyfriend,
clothes. Yeah,
some clothes.
yeah.
That's it.
And I'm good.
That's very true, actually.
It's a fine way to live.
I live
I always
yeah.
wish I had less stuff outside of this box that we're currently in.
I love the Solid Gold Studio.
No, this is great. This is my happy place.
It's cozy.
But everywhere else, it's pretty open. And
Yes.
As I said in a previous episode, Dallas is the type of person who has one of everything. One plate, one cup.
One swinging light bulb in the middle of the living room.
one
concrete
empty
bunker.
milk carton in the corner.
Yes, you live like Berkowitz.
One blender.
Ugh.
Okay, we're done with that.
good. You're good. Yeah, I guess that makes sense why I live so minimalistically now. Huh? I didn't think of it that way.
Memory unlocked.
Yeah. Wow. Guys, I think you just opened. This could be my therapy session.
We are not qualified.
Are you sure?
Or talented or
Are you
educated enough to actually.
Because I think this
provide.
could work.
No, I think you run that by your therapist and see what they have to say about it.
Oh, you know what? I'll tell my therapist to listen to this podcast, and maybe
Therapist will be like, you should leave him.
you need to leave now.
Take your cat and run. Podcasting is not our responsibility.
But it is our fault.
Yes.
Our old quote. We tried to didn't get over.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I've had times where living with my parents, as far as I can remember, I was probably as early as like 5, maybe a little older.
Pretty average.
That
Remember things.
yeah,
Sorry, that wasn't a joke. Can I derail to my first memory really quick?
go for it. It's all about you. This is fine.
I was 5, and I only know because I only lived in this Maple Valley house when I was 5, not Burien, and we were playing wiffle ball in the living room. Then I walk up to the doormat, and I'm holding the wiffle ball bat, and I just go onto myself, and then my mom, I have the bat, and I look at my mom, and I just start crying. And
I don't know what to do with this.
that's my very first memory.
That's your
Wow,
very
that
first
is-
memory.
That's
That's so.
traumatic and explains a lot about you.
So that's a good time to remember things as age 5, guys.
Yeah,
Got it.
I think 3 is my earliest memory. I'm not going to go into what it was.
You know,
Doesn't matter.
I just threw a number out there, so I have really no idea. I was young,
Yeah.
and
I forget more and more every day. So,
I still try to. That's okay.
All right, so anyway.
Yeah. So anyway, back to my life.
So back to me, it's fine.
It's fine. This is all about me, guys. You're supposed to
I
listen.
mean,
to
it's
me.
true.
actually, you are
We
the
invite you on
guest,
the
so-
podcast and then don't let you finish your
I
story.
know. Can I at least get to the point where I was gonna say yes. So 5 years old. Let's assume it's 5.
Sure.
I could remember myself like not liking or wanting to wear girls' clothes. Okay. My mother tried to, and I would go to church, and she'd put me in like a dress, and those like freaking, what are they, nylons or what? Like,
Stockings or nylons.
like
yeah.
those things were so uncomfortable. They rode up. They were awful. She put me in stupid little cute shoes that I hated so much.
But they were so cute.
You wouldn't know because I never showed you the pictures. I used to have
And it
long
burned the
hair.
shoes.
I used to have long hair. I used to have all these things, and I hated it, all of it, all the time.
So you knew early on you didn't feel
I knew early on I
living
was
like that.
uncomfortable living like
You
that.
weren't probably quite sure why, but
Well, no, I wasn't.
Yeah.
So until like I got into like later elementary school, probably like 5th or 6th grade, I would tell my mother, "Can you cut my hair, please?"
Yeah.
Like,
Did you
I
have
need
really
this.
long?
It was long, and then she cut my hair. She would cut it probably about like ear length down, and I still hated it.
Gave you a
Didn't
nice
matter.
bob.
Yeah. It was. I hated it. It was
Bob's
still
never look
awful.
good on children ever.
No, and I had
Yeah.
really curly hair, so
Ooh.
it was just
Curly
like, yeah. My dad did not like that idea, and all the kids thought I was really weird because I always dressed in boys' clothes later on when they finally let me. And we're like, all right, fine, I guess.
They acquiesced on that.
Yeah, well, they would start to get lenient on what I would wear.
Did you ever get to the point where you would like pack clothes and like change on your way to school? Or was it just like, no, I'm just gonna wear
Fuck
this.
it, I'm
so
wearing
fuck it.
this.
No, I don't. No, that never happened. Actually, thankfully, I was able to acquire those clothes. I could have a memory of where my aunt took me out and took me shopping, and all we had to do was walk past the girls section, and I just started crying. I was like, "No, do not take me there. I don't want to have anything to do with it. No, can I go home?" She was like, no, honey, you don't have to go home. I'll just walk you over here. And she walked me to the boys section, and I felt so much better.
Just instantly.
Like it was a very weird thing to feel, especially at that age.
right.
it is interesting how so much is. I mean, it makes sense, but so much of it being associated to clothes, I never really thought of it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
It's like
Sorry.
Oh no, it goes along with kind of like toys in the toy aisle is like
Yeah.
there's a pink aisle and here's the
Blue
pink aisle with the Barbies
the
and here's
dolls
the
and the-
explosion aisle.
Yeah, right.
With the
Way
with
cooler.
The, yeah,
With the cars
with the
and the-
cars and the trucks
and
and,
the
all
muscle
that
men
stuff
and
and like
all that.
yeah, I know that there were certain toy stores that were degendering their toy aisles where they would
Like recently or back?
relatively recently where
okay.
they wouldn't just have a girls aisle and a boys aisle. They would like mix things
Mix it all together.
kind of together where you would still have like this is for princesses and this is that sort of thing. This is for fairies and then here's dragons and then here's dinosaurs,
But it's a mix of those. I
yeah,
see. Okay.
yeah. So
That's
it wasn't
cool.
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, speaking of toys, my mother would get me like some of those Barbie dolls and whatever, right?
I loved Barbies.
I know.
I wanted to
well,
play with them.
this is why we're together because we're completely opposites in such a beautiful way. I love it.
Yeah.
But we're just gonna do that now. But I would get Barbie dolls or whatever, and I'd like go outside with them, and I'd throw them in the street, and I'd let the cars drive over them. I thought that was the coolest shit ever. Yeah, I am not kidding. I thought that was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah,
I'd draw
that's
on their
great.
faces. I'd cut their hair.
Yeah, I
And
remember
then I-
tying some firecrackers to some. Yeah.
Okay, Sid.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it was great. And then I got into like the GI Joes, but
Yeah, I was a G.I. Joe kid.
What's interesting is like I got into the GI Joes. It seemed kind of like gender specific, I guess. Like I thought they looked cool. They had like army helmets and little guns,
Yeah,
and you know,
G.I. Joes are typically associated with male little kids.
Yeah.
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 I was a G.I. Joe kid. I loved them. Did you have the 12-inch ones or the little like 3-inch, 3 1/4 inch?
I can't remember. In my mind, they're like
I was a
probably,
G.I. Joe kid too.
That was probably they're probably
like-
the 12-inch dolls.
Yeah, okay.
I loved
yeah.
those.
Yeah, those were cool. They're like little army dudes, but
Man, I still have 2 of them in my house. They're just
I actually think I
on
have pictures still of me holding them, and I had like a mullet because that was at the time where they finally let me cut my hair a bit shorter. But my grandmother would take me out, and she knew my dad didn't want my hair cut all the way, so she's like, "We got to leave some hair on the
compromise.
back," and it ended up
The
being
90s were a weird time.
it ended up being a freaking mullet, and it's just like no matter what I did, I could not look the way I wanted
You
to
couldn't
look.
get what you wanted.
Yeah, I couldn't get what I wanted. Everyone was trying to help, but they couldn't.
Yeah.
Um,
Just fucking up in just enough of a way.
yeah, it was awful. So I guess I'll advance this a little bit. That's kind of
Take
the
your time.
childhood, but things started to really advance when I moved out of my parents at about 15 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the family drama, the toxic stuff that was going on that I won't really engage in at this time. But
This is a toxic environment you needed to get the fuck out of there.
yeah, it needed to happen.
Painted enough of a picture, I can kind of imagine.
Yeah, chaotic enough.
Especially like at a teenager age, like
Oh,
that
yeah.
is just the extra
Yeah.
factor in that situation that's just gonna make everything.
Yeah.
I'm not that it's the teenager's fault.
No,
definitely, but
I was
like,
just gonna say, puberty is just like pouring gasoline on the fire.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
makes
Oh.
everything worse.
Oh yeah, puberty was awful.
Oh yeah.
Well, I guess I should follow up on that because that still has relevance to my transition. I had some times where, like, I literally, as I got a little bit older and older, I realized what was going on with me. And I had times where I'd wish that I was a boy because I found out that I wasn't. And it was just like, what is happening to me? I don't understand this. So for a while, I, like, scratched that out of my mind and it wasn't really relevant anymore. Like, it just kind of like, all right, well, we're going to forget about this now.
Yeah.
we're gonna push that deep.
Yeah, deep down.
I don't want to think about
Yeah.
that.
which led to
You're uncomfortable.
oh god, which is going to lead to something very dark. But
It always does.
yeah, I've had moments of suicide attempts and other living with my parents.
Sorry to hear that. I have.
Yeah, it was
can
awful.
relate.
Yeah, not always because of that necessarily, but because I always felt like I was excluded and nobody really liked me. I stopped going to school about as soon as I got to high school is when I really just like once a week I was at school, and then all of a sudden I stopped going,
Yeah.
and then I told my mother I'd rather get hit by a truck or bus or something, and
Yeah.
and she called the school, and then that's when things started to advance. Me getting withdrawn from school. My sister found out. And then she took me in for a short amount of time, but she had her own life and her own kids.
Right.
So she talked to my grandmother, who was an amazing woman. This is where my life really starts actually going in a better direction.
That's good.
So I ended up going with my grandmother.
And what age are you?
I think I
around
was
this time?
probably about same age, like 14, 15.
So this is still
yeah.
in those formative.
It's still
okay.
that same, yeah. And my grandmother, can't quite remember exactly how I got over there, except that my sister transitioned me into it. My grandmother found out what was going on, and she worked to get custody of me and or guardianship of me, which are actually different things. Now that
Yep.
I think about that, I have a bunch of files about it that I can't tell you right now. Sorry, somebody else is gonna have to explain that one.
Redacted.
Yeah, I guess it means more. It means like you're more of a actual, like you then.
You're like emancipated, but you still have someone who's like
It's like a guardian.
taking care of you.
Yeah, you're being taken care of,
It's all
right?
legal. I don't want to say benefits, but
Nope.
no.
What are you
Okay.
talking about?
Well, it's like when you're a
I get
parent, you have your taxes are different.
You have certain legal rights. Yes.
There's legal stuff involved. You're
They're your
responsible for
dependent
them. So
and
if
stuff like
you're
that.
if you are the primary guardian, whether your child has been removed from the parent's care or not, they're basically in charge of all the decisions. So
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Don't know enough to speak on it, so
that's all I know.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's more.
yeah.
Yeah,
Consult
but
Google,
Yeah, Google it, dudes.
And then believe everything it tells you.
right?
Yeah, so my grandmother would get guardianship of me. It was over a couple of years, I think. She really worked to do that for me.
The wheels of justice move
Yeah.
incredibly slow.
Yes.
Yeah, and
Bureaucracy.
terrible,
I love red
terrible.
tape.
And I don't think I went to school again until a couple months later. But I also got a lot of therapy in between that. She took me to some.
Do you remember why you hated school so much? Like, was it you didn't have any friends? You didn't want to socialize? You didn't like being around people?
Or the fact that it's a prison nightmare.
Yeah, all of it
It is
was
a prison nightmare.
Yeah.
I mean, I know why I didn't want to go to school. But
Because I feel like really what it was in my mind, I just felt like nobody liked me. Like that was just what my mind went to. But I mean, if I look at it in a realistic way, I stood out compared to everybody else. Like I was the only girl that wore boys' clothes, cut my hair really short.
Yeah, I'm sure there were plenty
I
of choice
remember-
insults
Like,
thrown your way.
there was a
I
lot.
remember even like in elementary school, like tomboy was thrown around a lot.
Yeah, that's kind of what I
Yeah.
was getting to.
I haven't
yeah.
heard that in 15 years.
I don't hear it anymore.
I don't think it's a term people use these days.
No, not at all. But I'm just saying
I
I
was-
remember that as
yeah.
early as elementary school. But
I was definitely called a tomboy all the time.
yeah.
Yeah.
But because I look so different and the way I acted too, I guess, like I just wasn't very socially interactive with people. I really was very shy and very shunned because the only hobbies I had were playing video games.
Yeah.
My dad, I never went out. I never did anything. I didn't hang out with anybody that often. I just stuck to like the internet. The internet was my friend.
Yeah.
Like I guess because
you grew up in that glorious time where the internet was just starting to
It was
become a thing.
perfect.
Because we're all about the same age, born in the 90s, somewhere around there.
yep.
So yeah, it came up right at that good amount of time, just when the internet became ubiquitous enough where everybody could get on it.
But
Yeah.
it was so unregulated that you could
Yeah.
do anything
Oh,
on
yeah.
it.
Right,
Yeah,
'cause
exactly.
there
I
was,
missed
like-
those times.
Middle school sleepovers for me were just 8 dudes like huddled around one desktop, just messing around. And
Yeah, basically. Getting on AOL chat.
Yeah, I was
as
gonna
soon
say
as you-
AOL chat, and then there was like a thing called Teen Chat or whatever online. Like you could just go on
And
there.
when
But
like,
it was
chat-
all 40-year-olds.
Yeah, right.
probably
when
probably.
Microsoft Sam was fun, those are the days. Do you remember you just type shit in and then hit speak and
Oh.
it just,
Oh yeah,
that's all it
yeah,
is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah, that's all
yeah,
it
that
is.
was fun.
Yeah.
Back when you were more easily entertained, more like.
Oh, I
Yeah, right.
miss
Yeah.
it. Oh, so easy. Anyway,
It was so easy.
so easy.
But yeah, I got sucked into that because that was my way of like having friends that I
It
could
was a
have
refuge. Yeah.
that they didn't need to know who I really was, and I could just
Be
be
who
who
you
I
wanted
wanted
to
to be.
be.
Yeah.
Who,
You
yeah.
had anonymity behind a computer screen.
And I'm not gonna lie, like I told all the people online that I met, I told them I was a boy. I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I told them
you
that.
got you
and
got
I,
to role play in a way as a kind of a start. And,
I got to
yeah.
be myself, and they didn't have to really know, and
Yeah.
it felt really
it didn't
good.
matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so I had a lot of issues then with that going into school because that's all I really wanted to do. I didn't want to go to school and talk to these people that didn't really want to have anything to do with me.
Like
Yeah.
I'd rather exist in my safe haven where
Yeah.
the world doesn't fucking suck all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
And I can just discuss, God, what would be out around then, GoldenEye 90, GoldenEye tips
Mm-hmm.
in peace without anything horrible happening.
On a forum?
Yeah, I was a forum kid.
Forums.
Trollville.
I miss forums.
Hey, I still go on
I
forums,
still
okay?
do go forums.
Are they still I mean
There's a
they're
PlayStation.
not
There's some.
the same level they were used to be.
No,
There's
some
not-
pretty healthy communities. I'm a part of a PlayStation
Are you?
forum that's
Okay.
pretty healthy.
Well, there's the Steam forums. Like, I spend
Oh,
a lot of
yeah,
time
yeah.
on Steam forums. Yeah. Yeah, so that part happened. Where was I at?
So you've got a little bit of enjoyment in the online life, but everything else around you is hell, basically.
And this is the point where your grandmother has taken you in and has guardianship of you.
Yeah. So she doesn't quite really understand what's going on with me. And however, she is probably the only one that lets me figure myself out. Like,
she's giving you the space to figure things out.
yeah, she will. If I wanted certain type of clothes, she would help me get that. She helped me identify myself in a lot of ways.
Do you have a lot of Jinko jeans?
Oh God.
What? No, I don't know.
I don't know if Chance was like the Jinko type.
No.
It's okay. I wore like skin tight red jeans.
Yeah, I
when
keep
was in
forgetting
high
this is
school.
around 2005. I'm thinking more like in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
It's the Jinko era.
You seem Dallas. You seem like the type to be like, I'm gonna wear a statement piece.
No, oh my
Or a
God.
scarf
I wore
guy.
the worst. I gotta find some pictures so you guys
Yeah.
will laugh at me later. But it was like it's like the stupid skater jackets that looks like a bunch of bad tattoos from LA. Like,
Oh no!
yeah.
What? I don't know about those.
Von
Vol-
Miller
Volcom.
or,
yeah, I think it was Volcom.
Oh,
And
now I know.
So
what
I'd
you're
wear
talking
like that. It was too big, just loaded with all. Anyway, and then it would be like skin tight red jeans, and then like just stupid fucking skater shoes or Converse.
Yeah, the skater look was
God,
in.
it was bad.
That's not the worst.
That's not bad
It's
at
not
all.
bad.
honestly.
the
Most,
worst.
mostly they were all like tight black jeans, like the emo kid jeans.
Yeah.
But
Well, there are worse things.
No,
like-
that's
like-
not that bad.
Yeah.
Oh,
Don't
I
beat
know.
yourself up.
I'm not beating myself up. I'm laughing because it's fucking hilarious.
Well, now that you mention it, actually, when my grandmother would take me out, and I actually made friends in school when I finally got into school, which I went to Highland High School, and they only put me through 2 classes, I think it was, because they had like 4 periods or something like that at Highland High School, so you didn't get like 6 periods.
Yeah.
So
they did the same. Yeah.
So I only had like 2. So I would show up in new fitted clothing. Most of it was like grungy stuff. Now that you mention it, so I was
Yeah.
like, I love
Again, that
plaid,
look was in.
flannel shirts. The
Plaid,
grungy look.
plaid and ripped jeans has long been the refuge for many a
Yeah.
Seattle,
ostracized. No,
And
I
I
was just gonna say
still-
ostracized
yeah.
person.
Oh yeah.
Because I wore a lot of ripped jeans and flannel shirts.
Oh,
for
yeah,
a
when I
long
got
time.
older, that's all I wore: beanie, flannel shirt,
Yep.
ripped jeans, Converse.
Definitely
what I
had a
wear
lot of
now.
ripped jeans. Yep.
Yeah, or Vans. Vans were big.
Yeah.
I had a point where I would put like safety pins in like a hoodie
yeah.
that I
Oh, hell
would
yeah.
wear.
Safety
Like it
pin
would
period.
look cool. Like yeah.
Yeah.
I did that for a while. But this is where things got a little confusing for me because my grandmother, like I've had some friends, and I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm feeling more comfortable with myself now that I've had therapy and whatever. So I'd start wearing more like the emo, dark, gothic clothing. I'd like dye my hair black. It
Yeah,
was kind of had that swoop to it.
Oh, I had the swoop.
Oh, I had
Yeah.
the swoopy
Emo
doop
kid.
too.
Emo
Straight up
kids,
E.
look,
Yeah,
Emo
I have to
like
show you
is the
pictures,
hair
honey.
flipping every 5
Yeah.
seconds.
Dude, oh god.
Yeah,
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I brought back memories. Sorry, guys.
So many bangs.
A lot of bad and good memories, but yeah, I have to show you pictures sometime. It's awful. I even had my grandmother even let me get away with wearing piercings. She hated it, but she would give me a lot of grief while I did it.
She sounds like a nice lady
Yeah.
who's just like, okay, this,
I
whatever.
prefer you didn't, but I guess
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, she tried really hard. She did. God bless that woman. So clothing, cool. School, got to that
Friendos.
point. Frienzos. Okay, well, then I started to identify with feeling like I was a lesbian. So I ended up, getting a couple girlfriends. Well, I'm sorry. I went ahead of myself.
Oh.
I had a boyfriend before I felt that way.
Uh-huh. Yep.
And it was kind of one of those things that he was more interested in me than I was in him. And I was
course.
like, oh, I feel kind of flattered.
And then he's just a
You
horny
both have
teenager.
He's
no
just a
idea
horny
what to do,
teenager.
yeah.
He was kind of ugly. I didn't really care about him.
Hell yeah.
He wasn't. And I hope to God he never hears this podcast, but I guess I don't care. Whatever.
I mean, it's highly doubtful.
Highly doubtful also doesn't matter.
Yeah. It was one of those things that it probably lasted like a week. I mean, he took me on a date to Kentucky Fried Chicken. Like,
Wow. Did he get the famous bowl?
There's dead
I
seagulls.
don't think the
chicken bowl.
famous bowl was out then, was it?
2006, 2015, you might be right in there.
I don't know. Probably not.
Throw it in your Google machine.
Yeah. We might need to do that later.
We can. We will.
We must.
Yeah, and like some of the girls that I was hanging out with are like, how do you like him? And I'm like,
I don't fucking care.
Like,
You're like,
I
I'm
was-
not really, and they're like, I could show you so many things.
Yeah, I was really let me show you some things,
Alex,
ladies.
that was not the appropriate voice for showing.
Says you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I tried to like him, and I was just like, "Your lips are too wet. They're too fat. I don't like him." Like, I'm serious.
He smelled like Arby's. I don't know.
It was like somebody had one of those saliva it squeezes out of your lips. Like it's just constantly. it's just
comes to
wet.
the corners of your
Oh,
mouth.
and
Like
it's
it
just-
sticks on their teeth and stuff.
It's just
and you can
wet
see it.
with that, or it's just wet all the time. Like all he does is lick his lips, and it's just like,
Sexy.
please stop, Alex.
Oh, no. Nope, not going to say that joke.
you can say, we'll edit it out.
Do it? No, I don't want to.
Do it. Do it.
It's just, I don't understand pedophiles sometimes. Kids are so gross.
I love how you don't understand pedophiles sometimes.
Ugh. Implications. Ow. Yeah, you feel free to cut that.
I don't.
Leave it.
We'll just cut all this. It's fine. Yeah. So that was awful.
All right, so I
Ugh.
can't
so-
think of a
so
funny name for
Big
him.
wet moist lips is gone.
Moist lips. is
He's gone, and I.
Monsieur
Was that,
Wetmouth.
was that technically your first breakup? Because God,
Yep.
do I remember
Yep.
mine?
I can't. Well, I can't remember how I broke up with him, but I think it was more really I was just like, I don't know. I don't think I really, because I was very timid and I was
Yeah.
very shy, so I was just like, I don't think it's gonna work out. I just don't like it that way.
Yeah.
So I
Did better
said,
than I did. I ghosted my first girlfriend. So.
Okay, I'm. Oh, it's fine. It adds character.
Oh yeah. Just if anybody can hear, we had some gin and tonics made for the podcast. So if you hear some clinking, that's just us.
Drink along.
Yeah, drink along.
is that too?
No, I remember this very specifically. So I graduated in 2012. I think my first girlfriend was probably 2007, 7th grade, 8th grade, something like that. But it's just the saddest thing. And now I regret telling this story now that I started. But I do edit the shows and I can take it out later if I want to. I had one of those sliding phones. So we would text and it was the
Keyboard.
number. It wasn't even a keyboard. It was a number text.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking
I don't
about.
even know what they call it. But
It's not
I don't know what they
T9,
call it.
it's the
Because T9's the format.
Predictive?
It's the format that the text would go in that you could choose.
Oh.
So what he's talking about is like just the dial pad, the regular dial pad.
You're like,
1, 2,
B
3 for
is,
C.
is 2
Yeah.
on the one. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were fighting for like weeks, and we both don't know why. We're fucking 13, 14 years old. Or even younger than that, I guess. No, 13. And I remember texting her in the morning. I was like, I thought you loved me, ? And then she responds, I thought I did too.
Oh my god. Oh my god. That's the best.
Zach is laughing in the bathroom. God damn it. Yeah, and then I was like crying in the shower. My mom's like, what happened? Did you fall over? And I was like, no. I'm fine. It's like, fuck. That shit hurts.
Oh my god, that's the best.
But it was like a really bad teenager drama movie. Like, that's what I remember.
Yeah. Well, and like as teenagers, we make it so dramatic. Like
Yeah.
it's so stupid.
Everything's so
Yeah.
life or
Yeah.
death.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's going to be the end of the world because we can't be together forever or because we don't like you.
Yeah, and you have no perception in time at all.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't. It's awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that ended. Oh, so my point was I was going to tell my grandmother what happened because she knew that I kind of had a boyfriend.
Yeah.
She was being protective about it, but
Oh, you have a friend that's a
Yeah.
boy.
yeah, as that happens. So I sit there at the dinner table. There's no dinner happening, but I'm sitting at the dinner table and I have this like really odd look on my face. Like I just look kind of like weird. And she looks at me and she's like, "What's going on, honey? Are you okay?" And I'm like, I don't know. There's something going on with me that I'm not quite sure about. And I'm going to say this because the first thing that comes out of her mouth, she says, "Are you a hermaphrodite?" I am not kidding. I am not kidding. She says that.
That's your first guess?
Yeah.
Like, that's...
Well,
that's
because
also-
because I guess I missed the part that I said that it was about the dude that I was with. She was like, "Are you a hermaphrodite?" And I'm like,
And you're like, you're 14.
I'm
You're
like-
like, you don't know what that word means, do you?
When you hear footsteps, you don't think zebra, you think horse.
yeah, like grandmother, I love you, but why would you jump to that?
Also, that isn't. I mean, it's no longer. It's a term that's not used anymore.
No, it's an old term.
It's an old term, but also it's about something very specific. Like,
Yeah.
we call that being born intersex, where you have ambiguous genitalia. Mm-hmm. That's what that
yeah, that's
means.
what that means.
And so, like, I would hope that she would have known that about you
You'd imagine.
before.
yeah, you
What with
would.
changing diapers and all.
Well, yeah, and she did. She knew me when I was a baby, so that was kind of a weird, like, grandmother. Why?
She was just old, I guess.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, I
But
yeah.
maybe that's really why I'm traumatized. like,
She's
but-
bringing ancient Greek shit on you.
yeah,
Hermaphrodite.
yeah, like,
Sorry, that was really bad.
That was good.
yeah. So I can't remember if she said anything after that because that one just stuck in my head very harshly. So the only thing I can say after that would be, "No, Grandma,
God, no.
I believe I'm a lesbian. I don't know." And I just start crying. I have no idea. I'm so confused. I have no idea what to do with myself. She's
As you
like,
do.
"It's okay, honey."
She's your biggest emotional support
Yeah.
right now. So.
Yeah, and she continued to be very supportive during that time. And I've dated a few girls, whatever, and I've figured out that I could be comfortable with, the gay community and whatever. And then I had an auntie. This is years later. This is probably about when I was 18 years old. After I was all right, I'm
Living as a
fine.
lesbian for
lesbian
years
for
at that
several years. One of my aunties sends me this survey thing, gay, lesbian, trans, whatever. You start answering the questions, and it had some gender specific questions on it. And after I ended it, I was like, it was eye-opening. I was like, even though I should have known this when I was younger, this just put it right back in my face again. After I forgot it for so many years.
It brings up your old friend, a forgotten
Yeah.
traumatic memory.
Yay!
Yeah, it was kind of weird. But
Most likely to visit you at 3 a.m.
Hi, I'm your old imaginary friend, Trom.
God damn it, Trump, get out of here. I'm trying to sleep.
But remember that horrible thing that happened that made you feel so bad?
Remember that text that said, I thought I did too? So do I.
oh my god, you guys
Now
are
you
so
do.
good at this. That makes me feel so much better. Like, that's exactly what went through my mind.
The most embarrassing memories of me nobody remembers. To like the ones that I think of myself.
That's
you know
always
what I mean? Yeah.
Like that time I was at Boy Scout camp and there was this guy in line in front of me for the health check and I thought he was wearing a mask and I was like, nice mask, and he's like, I was burned, and I was like, oh. I bet he remembers that because I certainly do.
that little cunt in line of Boy Scout camp.
That little shit.
If I could punch one person in the face.
When I was in church camp, I got stung by a jellyfish on the arm, and they were like, it's fun, man. Stop freaking out. Just pee on it. So I went to the bathroom and peed on myself, and then I went
As
to
you
the
do.
nurse's office. I don't know if does it actually help?
No, it's the worst.
No, don't do that.
It's the opposite. Basically,
Yeah.
the
It's
acid
putting
in the
salt
urine.
in acid in.
It causes on a jellyfish they have these little hairs that have venom in them, and basically when it
They're
attaches
tiny little
it
barbs.
injects the venom into your skin. But if sometimes they're not activated, it's like might have a tentacle on you, but only some parts of it are actively stinging you. You pee on it, it causes the whole tentacle to like release all of its venom.
Oh, God.
Don't pee on your jellyfish
Well,
stings, people.
Yeah. Well, and
idea.
just the visual of me just like, okay.
Well, I mean,
Being on my own arm.
at least you have a
What
penis.
can it hurt?
At least you have a penis, so you can pretty easily aim it. Imagine if you were a woman and just trying to squat and put your arm down there.
You like catch it in a cup, like a cup
There
single
you go,
hand,
yeah,
and like
yeah.
splash it,
Yeah,
like
golden shower yourself.
yeah, exactly.
Oh my god, now I can't even remember how we even got to this point.
Welcome to the show.
You guys
know-
are gonna have to rail me back now.
Um,
I mean, wait, that's the
Whoa.
wrong term, wrong words. Cut that one
Thought you
out.
were taken.
only one of us is going to do that, and we'll save that for later.
Yeah, my
Yeah,
little
we're gonna
nerd.
live stream that.
That'll be some bone con.
Oh no.
Actual bone con.
You were 18, and you took the survey.
The survey,
Yeah,
right?
blew your mind.
So blew my mind. So I'm like, oh shit. Well, okay. Now what I was gonna say too was, periodically I have had some certain friends because they saw that I was kind of like tomboyish, and they made some comments. I don't know if that was good or bad, but they made comments,
Sure.
and they were like, there is a thing called like testosterone that you can take and you can actually transition. And like I heard it and then it went right back out of my mind again. I was like, I don't know whatever.
Yes.
So how old were you? You were.
I was like 17 probably. Okay. So, like in between that time frame.
Yeah, your mind wasn't ready to accept that idea.
No, I'm like in denial. Yeah. I'm like in denial, whatever. And then I have had a friend that I knew was also transitioning in high school, and that was like, oh, cool, nice. But it didn't click up until I took
Great for you. That has nothing to do with me.
Yeah,
I'm
like
doing great.
yeah, like sob. For all I knew, I was doing great. But then. Yes, so then the survey opened my eyes, and I was just like, what is happening to me?
Well, what did the survey entail, or what did it say?
Like, it had gender questions. Like, I can't remember it now because it was so long ago. It would just be like, do you feel like you're in the wrong body? Or,
It gave your mind some questions that you didn't necessarily maybe think about or want to think about.
Right.
Okay.
And God knows how long it would have taken me to realize it or be in denial until I actually let myself, open up to that. Mm-hmm. So after that, I can't remember what quite I did, but I know that I hung out with my grandmother. It was like right after we went grocery shopping. I broke down in the parking lot crying, and she's like, what is
What
going
is it
on?
this time?
What is it this time? What's wrong with you now?
You brought the wrong Egos.
God, child, you are problematic. I know, grandmother. Help me. So
Just imagine you like on your knees in the middle of the parking lot holding up cars and you're just screaming at your grandma, help me!
yeah. I am destroyed everywhere.
Just in the parking lot of Fred Meyer. Just
Yeah.
we got people that want to leave.
Yeah. Am I even human? So, back to the depressing parts. So I told my grandmother how I was feeling, like the survey that I took, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, oh, well,
Have you ever tried not being a mutant?
I am not equipped to deal with this question.
Have you ever just tried stopping?
Yeah. It's not like that. It's not like a drug, okay?
Grandmother, I have ice powers.
Yes, that's when Chance came out as a mutant X-Men.
Dude, I should be on X-Men. I hope so one day. So then my grandmother, like, she was confused at first, and so I had to explain to her what that meant, all the la-di-da, what I went through, doing the survey and how I felt. So, and then I told her I knew somebody that was trans, and I was like, I want to reach out to them and see if I can get, into therapy and make sure that this is actually what's happening to
At the
me.
very least, some insight.
Yeah, some actual insights and whatever.
Check it out.
Yep. And so she was actually on board. She was all for it. She was like, okay, let's do this. Like,
Cool.
How's Thursday next week?
yeah, exactly. Let's
Cool. You're going to talk to someone else about this? Great.
Oh, literally, I can pay for this to go away.
damn Dallas. Oh man, maybe that
I
should
throw
have
money at
happened.
my problems too when I shouldn't. So
Yeah.
it's okay.
I throw problems at my money.
Yeah.
Take this bank account. We're back.
This drink is
Yeah.
delicious.
Except it was gonna be with her money, so
God, we need
Right.
to make shirts someday.
because I didn't have a job because I wasn't quite,
Yeah, you're
You
not
were a
old enough.
teenager in high school.
yeah. So I ended up talking to this guy that I knew, and he got me the therapist info, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
My grandmother and my grandfather went with me. We talked. I did like some
Put blocks together.
whatever. Yeah, it was like putting blocks together and trying to figure out
So
my brain.
when I put
like,
this blue block into the red square, does that make you uncomfortable? The colors don't match?
oh god, no,
Would you rather this block be red?
no.
What if I put this big X over a female ovary? What
Yes, that's it. Ding, 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 ding.
Grandma and Grandpa, hold the poster. It's pretty big, so we gotta
Yeah.
roll this out.
Yeah. Vagina 0. Boobs 0.
Alter the.
Okay,
Chop those things right off, please.
circle the penis. That's your favorite.
1 through 10, 10 being
Yeah.
the best.
No.
This one has a cowboy hat.
Oh
That's a
god.
foreskin, Dallas.
As much as I would love for all that to happen, it did not.
So
Damn.
all babies are born with cowboy hats. Wow, these are strong gin and tonics. I'm sorry.
They're doubles.
Ooh.
That just means this podcast episode's going to be really good.
This is probably going to be a two-parter, if I'm judging how this is going.
It sounds like it's being really long. Sorry, guys.
Oh, that wasn't a judgment statement. I'm just
Yeah.
sorry.
Okay, so we're.
Okay,
Grandma,
so we're
Grandma.
back at the whole. Okay, so I'm at the therapist office, and like my grandparents are there. I'm taking like some, I don't know, questionnaire thing. It's something for my brain chemistry, and quite honestly, I don't understand any of it. But
Yeah,
he did. So
Those first early sessions are really, to just gauge you, who you're feeling, get the base level of,
Yeah.
What are you looking to get out of this?
yeah, technically, a lot of it was also like the survey that I took on the website that I had, but then it was also like brain. It had actually like brain chemistry going on as well, and there were like percentages that I can't tell you now. I probably still have those files actually. Didn't
Were you saying that they did like a blood test or something, or like a?
it was how do you like I don't know. I can't remember. It was more like you answer certain questions, you know, and it's supposed to be able to, I don't know, whatever.
Give insight into what your brain state is like.
Yeah, because then he handed me a graph that showed like pinpoints on a graph about like female and then male behavioral things, decisions, a lot of stuff like that. So I was very low on the female side of things.
You don't say.
Yeah.
Wild.
And I mean, he ran it down. He cleared me. He talked to me more about it. He was very like serious with my grandparents and the fact that this is a huge deal.
Yeah.
Like if
This isn't a passing thing. This is.
Yeah. But the deal is with this guy, he wasn't like a doctor. He was like a therapist to talk me through this and make sure this is exactly the thing that I need.
It sounds like he was a behavioral therapist. Yeah.
Yeah. And it took probably 5 or more months of those kind of sessions to really like be like, yes, this is what's happening. And once it was over, it was like, he would write a recommendation to a gender doctor.
Yeah.
And recommend me to go to one of those specialists in Seattle.
Sorry to interrupt you again. So you said you were going to go talk to somebody who was trans, or was that the actual person you're talking to now?
Oh, no, I was, and I did.
Okay.
I knew him in high school.
Yeah.
But
That's the person that recommended this therapist.
yeah, the therapist.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't.
I derailed myself later.
It's okay.
It was fine.
And like we weren't like super close friends, but we hung out a few times. We had the same social group.
Yeah.
Your acquaintances.
Yeah, and he got me kind of like to understand it more, which I'll talk about more later because there's so much more to this. So after the therapy parts, yes. So I got recommended to a doctor, Linda Gromko. She's amazing.
Shout out.
And shout out, Linda
Dr.
Gromko.
Linda Gromko.
She's great. Seattle. But the first thing that I would like to say about that is he recommended me to a couple different doctors. But one, I chose Linda Gromko because he mentioned that she was very slow in her process and like safe in that process. So
She really took her time with it.
yeah, like giving me the testosterone, making sure I'm not gonna have any allergic reactions, whatever.
Or like T-rage, which can happen
Yeah,
to some
which
people.
is a thing.
Yeah.
It is a thing. I don't know much about it, but it is a thing.
I know that my roommate's brother, who is trans, is on a very low dose of testosterone because he's prone to like getting really aggressive if he has a too high dose.
Interesting.
So.
I didn't know that, actually.
Yeah.
Never thought about that either.
Yeah. No, and actually in some TV shows, like The L Word, they talk about it with like the only real transgender character that's in that show. They talk about the
sorry, are we
T-Rage part.
gatekeeping transgender characters right now?
Yes. No. Well, I don't think they were actually, but they like perceived it very well. So
I see.
So yeah. So I got 2 options. I chose Linda Gromko because it was the safer option for me. And my grandmother liked it too, and you know,
Everybody was comfortable.
it was a comfortable thing,
as you could
especially
be.
yeah, especially as young as I was to just
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, you're still a teenager. You're still a kid. You still don't really know what.
yeah.
Just a
Trying to
kid
do.
don't make me feel like a man.
And this is why I love you guys.
But no, it makes a lot of sense that, and it sounds like you really had a good support system and people really took
Yeah,
you seriously with this, which is really awesome to hear because you don't.
Especially this was quite a while ago. How old?
Yeah, I was. I
12 years
believe
ago?
I was. Okay, I believe I was 18 when I started that therapy.
So 6 to 8 years ago.
2008.
No, so
Dallas.
this is about like almost 10 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Almost
Gotcha.
10 years ago.
Oh, okay. Sorry,
So
my
it's like-
timeline's a little off. So it'd be 2011 or so.
2008.
Okay, yeah, if we're all the same age. Yeah, so
we can do math. It's fine. Yeah. So, oh wow, it's more than that. Then shit, I can't even do
12
math.
years. Yeah, 12 years.
Yeah. So 12 years ago.
Yeah.
Which also that was the same year that I did get to start testosterone.
And I don't even think I knew about transgender people, but I didn't know anything about the process at that time.
No, because I'm going to get into more depth of that too. But that's also the time that it was more uncommon. Mm-hmm. This was 12 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the friend that I had, he was very like quiet about it. He even talked to me like, don't tell anybody about it. Like, you got to be careful with yourself. Like that, you just need to keep it on a low thing. And I went through high school through this process too. Mm-hmm. So, by the time that I got recommended Linogramco, I took my first shot, and I remember
testosterone.
Testosterone, right? And it was easier than I thought, but I passed out.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let's back up. It was easier than you thought, but you passed out.
Well, because like the needle process wasn't that big of a deal. Like I was doing injections in my thigh, right here, which nobody can see except for us.
I can see.
Audio medium.
But intramuscular shot, and yeah, I did it myself for the first time. Like they did it for me the first time, and then I came back and did it. Uh-huh. But I passed out because it was kind of one of those like, oh my God, what's happening? And it was a little overwhelming.
I can imagine. So you didn't turn into a Hulk.
No, I did not.
Oh, okay.
I'm 5'2", but maybe I could.
But you should see him when he gets angry.
I didn't realize it was injections, because typically like that would just be like, whoop, bat, like a train hitting you, as opposed to like an extended release pill or something like that.
Well, it's also like it's a surprisingly small amount.
That's a
like
lot.
most hormonal things.
I'm picturing like a big EpiPen that
like a big sci-fi gun syringe where you like screw it in. On it. It's like we were just watching.
Well,
X-Men
at that point, you may as well say you just
TV.
had a gun and just like.
No, it's like we were watching X-Men on the TV, and like it's was it the third movie? Second?
Yeah,
movie?
It was the third one.
Where they have like the cure for being a mutant, and it's like the biggest, scariest, like most horrible syringe gun thing. It's like. The process might be slightly uncomfortable. It's like, that fucking needle looks slightly uncomfortable. Fuck.
Goes down your throat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And this goes in your butt. Wait, which one?
Oh, no.
All right, so you passed out.
So I passed out, and, like, it was fine. Like, they were just like, yeah, it's okay. It happens, you know. After that, I was able to do it on my own.
You got more comfortable with it.
Yeah, I got more comfortable. But what really highlighted for me was when I got in the car, went home with my grandmother, I told her that I felt like a new person. She's like, how can you feel like a new person? You just got the shot. And I'm like, because it's a new step forward.
You're starting down this path.
It's that.
It was a physical action that led to
mental
happiness. Yeah.
Yeah. And
or a happier mental state, rather. But.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was amazing. It was an amazing feeling, even though I couldn't feel it because factually you cannot feel it really working. Like it's one of those things that, like, I currently take it once every week.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. At the start of it was like once every 2 weeks at a certain dose or whatever. And it depends on you. Like they started out a certain way.
You have to build it up slowly. So.
Yeah, to see how you're going to react to it, how quickly it will work for you, whatever. It depends on your...
You're changing chemistry here. It's not exactly. It's a science, not let's pump you full of shit and there you go.
Exactly, and it's different for everybody. So you're not really going to notice it. Like it's very subtle. So, but still, it was, in my mind, it was like this is going the direction I need it to go.
The first big step, and I have to imagine that was pretty. Had to be pretty elating.
Yeah, it really was. So from there forward, like we just kept doing my shots. Eventually I got more frequent with my shots. Things started changing.
Did you have a Did you notice specific changes in how you thought? Because I know that I've heard that some people will have changes in like I used to think this way, and then after transition, things change mentally as well. For some people, and I was curious if you had that experience.
Technically speaking, that's not a thing, but over time, like, and I'm saying like years, yeah, I would start to feel or think a little bit differently, but that's like 5 years later for me. Like, it was kind of like a slow, maybe I felt a little less anxious about certain things, like it's kind of you're just really feeling more comfortable in your own body again. Like, you're just like, oh, this is actually me now. And especially when you start seeing the changes, you look at yourself in the mirror and you're just like, that is actually me. And that might help change how you think and feel.
That's awesome to hear. Yeah. It's almost a slow building of confidence in a way.
Yeah, it is.
Unfortunately, this is a place where we're going to have to save the rest of our conversation for next week's episode, because we recorded for 2 hours and 20 fucking minutes.
Our longest recording time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so if you want to, as always, send us your stories or questions or anything like that, you can send us an email at sowdydlearn@gmail.com. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at sowdydlearnpod, and reviews.
Yeah, send us a 5-star review, because none of the other stars matter. 5 stars or bust, bitch.
You know it.
Yeah, on the iTunes, because
iTunes always.
The only other platform that has reviews is Himalaya, and no one uses it. But we still drop our shit on Himalaya.
We are on Himalaya.
Yes, it's like the podcaster's attic. You just like put shit there, you forget it exists.
Himalaya, reach out to us.
Yeah.
We would love some advertising.
Or reach around to us,
Jesus.
Okay.
Well, on that note, we're going to cut this episode off a little bit short, but we'll have part 2 with Chance and his amazing story coming up next week for you guys.
Yeah, 2 weeks. But yeah.
2 weeks? All right. Well, sure.
Cue the 2-week guitars.
2-week guitars! Bye, everybody. We love you.
The So What Did You Learn podcast is brought to you by the So What Did You Learn Network. Theme written and recorded by Jacob Rose. Our logo was designed by Stevie Van Bronckhorst. Further work of hers can be found at stevievanb.com.